That's part of the devastating news. Their bodies were found in a tunnel in Rafah, about a kilometre from where the previous hostage was rescued last week. That's Farhan al-Qadi, Bedouin hostage, who was rescued this time when the forces found them. As before, they didn't have specific information that they were there. But what they did find was that they had been recently shot. In other words, they'd survived 11 months and were shot as their captors were fleeing. The other news that has come out from Israeli security officials talking off the record was that 4 of these 6 were on the list to be in the first phase of hostages who were to be released if a deal had gone through. So what's being discussed here is if a deal had gone through in July, that these 4 of these 6, that's the 2 women and the 2 wounded hostages, including Hirsch Goldberg Polin, that they could have already been back here with their families. And that is very much salt being rubbed into the wound of these deaths, so close to their rescue. The other thing that's interesting is the political fallout. We did hear from the US president, who had personally met with the very impressive mother of Hirsch Goldberg Polin, Rachel Goldberg. She's one of those women who's an ordinary person catapulted into the public eye, very impressive campaigner, and he said that Hamas would pay. But the question being asked in Israel is what role does Israel have, and specifically this government, in the fact that no ceasefire has been reached and that these 6 hostages died so close to their release?
Now, polio vaccinations are underway in Gaza with a pause in fighting in place. Is that being respected, and what are some of the challenges of this mammoth task?
Yes, at the moment, it's early hours. I was going to say early days, but it's early hours yet. It began at 6 a.m. It appears to be the rollout has begun and is successful in central Gaza. Well, successful so far. What they have is 1.2 million doses of polio vaccine for more than 600,000 children. The reason that they want to do this for these children aged under 10 is that you need a 90% inoculation rate for the disease not to spread. Obviously, they wanted a ceasefire to ensure this would be effective and safe. That was not forthcoming. Neither side was willing to agree to a ceasefire. So what they have is a preliminary agreement from the Israeli military. 3 days now. We've just heard that it would be extended to the 8 days, apparently, that they need, or any longer time that they may need to do all of the vaccinations. But these are only the first hours, and we know that in a war zone, during a temporary ceasefire, or a humanitarian pause, really, many things can go wrong.
And we know that 3 Israeli police officers were killed in the West Bank this Sunday. What more do we know about that?
Yes, they were killed in the south of the West Bank, not far between Jerusalem and Hebron. And it's followed a definite escalation in the West Bank. Both sides, Israel has been acting in 3 northern West Bank towns, not this area at all, actually. 3 northern West Bank towns. It pulled out of 2 of them. The operation in Jenin in the north of the West Bank continues. There are reports that Israel has stopped water and electricity to the area of the fighting, not to the whole of the town. Nevertheless, I think that is significant. And what we saw was that these 3 policemen, it turns out, were shot this morning, and that there had been, of course, two roadside bombs, or 2 militants carrying roadside bombs would be more accurate, and that they were shot yesterday, not far from here, in an area between Jerusalem and Bethlehem in the West Bank. And now we see this shooting. So this shooting in Hebron, also not far from there. So you can see it is an escalation in the West Bank, something that there's been a lid on it, really, for this past 10 months, let's say, past 9 months. But in the past 2 months, there is a definite escalation, and in the past week, even more so.